We are live.
We are live. Well, hello, Mesa Public Schools community. I am Andy Forlis, the very proud superintendent of this amazing school district. Thank you for joining us on Facebook Live this afternoon. Many of you have been tuning into our Facebook Live series around Safe, Strong, Ready. That is our plan to open up Mesa Public Schools. And this is our first Wednesday. So every Wednesday at 4 o'clock, we will be here talking about information that is most interesting and timely for our community. So today, our topic is our on site support centers. This is a new concept that is coming to Mesa Public Schools. We on August 17th, which is next Monday, we will be opening up on-site support centers at 26 of our schools. So let me tell you a little bit about these. These support centers are designed based on the executive order that Governor Doug Ducey provided to us that said that while we are in a remote learning environment, we need to make sure that we are taking care of our children who need it most. And so kids who need to come into our schools so that they can access the internet, that they might have a special learning need, that they need some extra support with their technology, they need access to a safe space. That's what these support centers are designed to do. So in Mesa Public Schools, we're opening up support centers at 26 of our schools. And I'm going to read those off to you. Some of you might be scrambling around looking for a piece of paper and a pencil. Don't worry about that. That's all on our website. So we have 12 elementary schools that will be hosting these support center. Edison, Highland Arts, Jefferson, Johnson, Kerr, Lincoln, Longfellow, O'Connor, Red Mountain Ranch, Roosevelt, Stevenson, and Summit Academy. Those are the elementary schools that you will find are on-site support centers. If you are a parent or a junior high student, you would be interested in going to Fremont, Keno, Poston, Rhodes, Smith, and Taylor. If you're a high school student, all of our comprehensive high schools will be providing these support centers at Mesa High, Mountain View, Red Mountain, Skyline, and Westwood, as well as our success schools, Riverview and Superstition. So you might be thinking, wait a minute, I don't go to any of those schools, but I am enrolled in Mesa Public Schools. That's okay. You can enroll at if you're an elementary student, you can choose from any of those 12 elementary schools to register to be a part of that on-site support center. The same for junior high, the same for our high schools. We just need to make sure that you are, in fact, a Mesa Public School student. So when parents go to register you, they need to have your ID number that indicates that you are part of Mesa Public Schools. So again, these are those on-site support centers that you can learn a lot about on our website, but we want to be able to give some information. And then in the Facebook Live chat, please register your questions and we will respond to you. So let me introduce you to my guest today. Dr. Randy Mallorwein is our Area Assistant Superintendent over the Red Mountain Skyline Area Schools. And he has been working very closely with a team to help to design what are these on-site support centers going to look like. It's important for you all to know that Dr. Mallorwein has two elementary school students who are at home working through remote learning, as well as his wife is a teacher. And so it's always good to get that perspective of not only is he an educational leader, but he's also a parent and can understand what some of the struggles have been during remote learning. So I've talked to you a little bit about who is eligible to attend and where these on-site centers are going to be. So that's great information for you to have, but I know that you have more questions. So make sure that you're sending your questions in the chat. I will continue to monitor them and we will ask them as quickly as we can. So let's talk a little bit about who is going to be the staff at these on-site centers. So I want to remind everybody, our teachers are teaching in a remote environment. So teachers are very leading on-site or remote instruction. So Dr. Mallorwein, can you tell us about who will be staffed and who is going to be helping the students at these centers?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Forrest. Good evening, everybody. Appreciate everyone tuning in to get some information about our on-site centers. So as you guys know, our whole school district is in remote learning right now. So our teachers are busy behind the computer daily teaching live lessons. And so they're not available to supervise or be too much of a part of our online learning center. So we're pulling our instructional aides and a number of our classified staff to be the support to facilitate the learning and support our kids throughout the day. And what we're looking at is we're looking at about a 2-to-9 ratio in regards to classrooms. So we'll have 2 adults in there for every 9 students. We're going to try and group the students in age appropriate categories. So our younger kids will be with our younger kids, and our older kids will be with our older kids. And then our high schools will be looking at a 2 to 20 ratio in our bigger environments if we can put kids in our auditoriums or in our lunchrooms. So it's going to be a lot of our support staff that students already know. They already have a relationship with. It'll be a lot of our playground aides, the people you see out in the mornings welcoming kids to school, our adults that are on duty, and then we may have other support staff as needed. We're really looking at what our numbers look like. We want to make sure we provide a safe space for every child that needs one. So as we see our numbers come in, as of tomorrow morning, we'll be staffing each location appropriately with mainly IAs, playground aides, bus duty aides, and our classified staff.
Thank you, Dr. Mallorwein. All great information. And you mentioned registration. So we sent out a letter to our community today, doing this Facebook Live session this afternoon. And then tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, registration goes live. It will be available until 10 a.m. on Friday. So it's going to be very important as families receive that communication. They'll have a link that takes them right to the registration. And that will help us with the planning that Dr. Mallorwein talked about in that staffing. So let me, some of you are asking some questions around what are those? I heard Dr. Mallorwein talk about safety. So let's make sure that we define what that means. And so we have safety protocols in Mesa Public Schools that are designed to keep our students as well as our staff safe. And so one of the safety protocols that everybody will have to adhere to is the wearing of a mask or face covering. So masks will be part of the expectation when students come into the support center, as well as our staff. So it'll be important as a parent, make sure that you pack a mask, possibly 2 if one gets dirty. Pack a mask with your child so that they are able to wear them throughout the day. They will have a mask break and go outside, get a little bit of fresh air, stretch their legs, and then they can put their masks back on. Then let's talk about meals. Another time that the mask can come off is when they're eating their meal. We will have curbside meal service that is provided at the schools. So students can pick up their lunch if they would like to purchase a lunch, bring their lunch, or use their lunch card. Any of that is perfectly acceptable. So let's talk about, again, I'm going to do some clarification as I'm looking for questions that are coming through. Can a child go to any grade school? Well, I've listed off the schools that are participating. If you're an elementary student, you go to one of those 12 elementary schools to register. If you're a junior high student, you go to one of the junior highs to register. And if you're a high school student, all of our high schools are participating. So as a high school student, it would be your school. So there's another question that I want to make sure that we answer up front. And that question is, so you're opening these up, but we're not opening up to teacher-led in-person instruction because it's not safe to do that yet. And that's absolutely correct. So let me do some clarification. The governor's order says that we need to open up on-site support centers for students during remote learning. And we know that that's very important. My heart goes out to families that are juggling all that it's taking to make remote learning work. So we are opening up these support centers, but they are going to be staffed, as Dr. Mallorwein said, small groups of 10 children with staff. Now, as he mentioned, if we have 20 kids in an area, they will be physically distanced. It could be in a library, it could be in a gym, it could be in an auditorium. So every school is working out their own site. Not all of our schools are designed the same way. So all of these principals are working really hard to get this done and ready for kids on Monday. So the difference between these on-site support centers is that we have small groups of students. It's a limited number so that we can maintain safety protocols, and it is not teacher-led instruction. We are not ready for teacher-led instruction yet. We will be moving to that, but as of right now, we will not. Another question about safety. Will students be in cohorts? Yes. So if they're in a group, to the best of our ability, we will put them into a group. That group stays together. Because we know that it is best for us to minimize the number of interactions people have with one another during this pandemic. So they will be grouped together. It could even, in fact, some of our principals are talking, they know their communities well, and they're grouping them by family. So it could be a first grader with a fourth grader and a sixth grader because they're all part of one family. So high levels of safety and high levels of intention are being used to design what this looks like. Another question somebody is asking, what is the difference between the support center and Explore? Explore is a tuition-based program. So these are not tuition-based, these are free. These are, again, under the governor's order, these are free and they are open only during the school day. So if a school, an elementary school begins at 7:30 in the morning and it ends at 2 o'clock, these on-site support centers will run from 7:30 to 2 o'clock. Now we will have the option for Explore. So we have Explore sites. We have 9 of those. Those Explore sites are also part of the support center. But if a family chooses to stick with Explore and pay tuition, they certainly can do that. That is a separate program. I know it sounds confusing. It'll make sense when we all get there and get this all worked out. But Explore is tuition-based. These on-site support centers are free. So when we talk about enrichment activities are part of the Explore program. The on-site support centers is really to help kids work through their remote learning, making sure that if they need help logging onto their computer, if they need somebody to answer a question, maybe they need somebody to help read them a direction, that's what we would expect in the support center. So let's go on to some of our other questions that are coming in, and I want to make sure that we are getting to, let's talk about transportation. Dr. Mallorwein, talk about transportation. Will we provide transportation to these centers?
Transportation to the centers are not provided. Families must provide their own transportation to and from the centers. Unfortunately, at this time, we can't provide that make that a safe environment. So at this time, there'll be no transportation.
So thank you for answering that question. We're also looking at, will students with special needs receive services? And that is a very important question. And in the communication that went out to families today, it speaks a little bit about that. You want to talk about that, Dr. Mallorwein? I know you work closely with your principals about this.
Yeah, right now, our students we're working on what does this look like for our self-contained students, as we know that we need to provide an environment for learning. So that information is being put together right now and we continuously communicated. And families that fall into this category with our self-contained special ed will be communicated directly via the district with either a teacher or a special ed specialist or a director or possibly even the executive director, Teresa Bacher herself. So we'll be contacting you directly if your child falls into that self-contained, one of those self-contained needs in one of those classrooms. Students that maybe have IEPs that don't fall into this, they can go in and they can go on and attend one of the on-site learning centers like any other student.
And I think it's very important is that we will not have special education teachers as part of these on-site support centers because, again, they are working with their students in a remote environment. If there's a specific situation, I would ask that you reach out to your principal or reach out to a case manager that will help to navigate that. So, Dr. Mallorwein, I've got some more questions that are coming in. Can you talk a little bit more about so that parents can envision what this would look like? What areas of the school, where could they expect to see their students attending?
Yeah, I know that's been a concern of a number of families, and we've been discussing this with administrators. So this is going to be unique depending on the school. A lot of our schools have teachers that, for whatever reason, they can't do their online learning at home. Either they don't have internet or there's a family situation. And so we do have teachers in our schools doing their remote learning classroom or classes with their students in their classrooms. So each school will be different. Some schools will be offering a number of classes in classrooms. Some schools will be using the auditorium, parts of the gym, the music room, for example, a computer room, possibly the stage. Each principal has looked at his or her campus and is looking for the safe areas where students can be distanced 6 feet apart, where we can safely socially distance, and then also where it can be an environment where students can concentrate and focus on their remote learning. It's not, obviously that's not an ideal situation, but we're going to provide the best possible environment for students to be engaged, and we're also going to try and provide as much support for those students throughout the school day as we can. Our high schools, I'm sorry, Dr.
Oh, no, keep going, Dr. Mallorwein, keep going. This is all good information. I love it.
Just really quick to clarify our high schools. We're looking at our auditoriums right now for our high school. It's a big, spacious environment. It's going to be well air conditioned, and we're going to be looking at putting a number of our high school students in there. We're also looking at what does that cafeteria look like? What does that environment look like for possibly spacing out students? We want to try and put our high school students obviously in an environment where they can focus and they can get their learning done as well.
Thank you so much. Now let's think about the other end. We talked about high school. Now we have a question coming in. So what about my preschool student? Are we accepting preschool students? And that answer is no, not at this time. This is for kindergartners through 12th graders. Again, not thinking that that is the best learning environment for a 3 or 4-year-old. So not preschool at this time. Also want to talk to you a little bit about, so what can we expect? What do kids need to bring? So it's the first day, they're going to come on Monday. If they're registered, they get a confirmation and they're ready to come into this student support center. They're going to sign in when they get there. They're going to sign out when they leave. And then what they need to be able to bring is their district provided device. They need to bring a cord. They need to bring a water bottle. And then they also need to bring headphones. That will make it most conducive to participate in this remote environment. So here's a detailed question, and I don't know the answer to this one, Dr. Mallorwein, so let's see if we can, here we go. Let's see what we got. Let's see how good we are. Do students have to attend Monday through Friday?
We would like students to obviously attend as many days as possible, because right now when we're looking at, we're not sure what the space is available. But do they have to attend Monday through Friday? They do not. I think students can be there as needed. We'd like them to be there as many days as possible, because remember, there may be that student may be taking up a spot for a week or two until we can open more sites, depending on needs. So we're just asking this. We're all kind of in this together. We're all working through these struggles together. So we're not going to mandate 5 days a week to be there. We like our students to take advantage of it as many days as possible. But of course, if a student, if a parent needs 3 days because they're home with their student for 2 days, we're not going to turn one of those students away. And as we see what the need is, if we have to open more sites and we have to open, we'll pivot and we'll open more sites, and we're going to do everything we can to meet the needs of the community, because we don't want to turn any student away that needs a safe space or a quiet space, or parents got to get to work and support the family. We want to support Mesa community and do everything we can to open up these spaces. So the answer is no. We'd like you to be there as many days as possible, because again, you're eliminating a spot where somebody else might be able to be there. But if we look to, again, this grows, we'll open more spots up, and that'll come quickly.
Thank you. And I know that there's a lot of comments about getting our schools opened for our kids, and that we understand that. And I want to make it very, very, very clear that we are committed to move from a remote learning environment into that phased approach that we have talked about, which is moving then into a modified in-person and then ultimately to an in-person model. We see this as an opportunity for us to test some of our systems. We have talked a lot about safety protocols. We have designed, our teachers, our staff are being trained in these safety protocols. And we want to, this is with smaller groups, we can take a look to see what are some of the tweaks that we need to make. The other is we are going to learn a lot about what it's going to take to keep kids safe when we bring them into the schools and when we are having them interact with our staff. And so again, we will be using this opportunity to refine the work that we have done throughout the summer. And we are on the steps to be able to say, when are we most comfortable opening up our schools? So please hear us. We will be coming back together with our governing board next week to solidify some more information about what it's going to look like to open up to that, begin to build into that modified in-person learning. But what I do want you to hear is that as long as we're in remote learning, that we will have these on-site support centers available to those who believe that they need the most. Okay, let's see. Oh, great question. Here is a question. How will students fill their time once their work is done? I'm sure that's a conversation principals have been talking about. That's to you.
That's to me.
That is to you.
Well, it's a little. I wasn't sure here in Facebook land. Well, once students finish their time, we obviously are going to try and provide an environment to make sure that all students can ensure that they can finish their work. We don't want students disrupting other students. We're going to do things to create brain breaks, create mass breaks, create some breaks throughout the day. I think that it's going to be kind of site specific, and it's also going to be specific to what does that classroom look like, or what does that environment look like, the number of students. So we're going to try and provide some guidance for our instructional aides on what to do if everybody finishes early and some things like that. But we are going to take some scheduled breaks. We are going to look at opportunities for kids to get out, stretch their legs, get their mask off, possibly outdoors where we know it's safe. And then students can also obviously work on other work. I would recommend, if you have a student that is a fast worker, cuts through their assignments quickly, that they bring a book. We'll also have some other things on site to supply to support students as far as books and extra work as well. It's not going to be a perfect system, but as we start working through it, we'll figure out ways to meet the needs of all our students and meet the needs of our community.
Excellent. And like I said, we haven't gotten these started yet. We are going to learn a lot in the first couple of days, and so it'll be important for us to be able to say, so not only students bring their computer with them and their charger and their headphones and a water bottle and a lunch, or pick up their lunch, that if they do need to pack a book, and our libraries are open in our schools, if they need to go and get a library book, or if there's something else that they're working on, that would be great. I want to make sure that it appears to me from everything that I'm seeing, we've gotten through the questions. Now it looks like it's just a little bit more of the chatter happening. So I want to take an opportunity to say thank you to Dr. Mallorwein for his time with us this afternoon. We will be back. We will be doing Facebook Live every Wednesday at 4:00, and it will always be a different topic, but we will make sure that those are timely. And if you have any additional questions, please reach out. Ina, I would love for you to put up our slide so that we can share where to go within our website to get more information. Also want to let you know that all of the Facebook Live series that we have been doing have been posted to our website, our Safe, Strong, Ready website. So if you want to go back and look at any other topics that we have done, please feel free to go back. It is a great way for us to stay connected to our community. So again, you will see all of this information, and take a look at your email inboxes for more information about registration. I appreciate your time. Thank you, Dr. Mallorwein. Ina behind the scenes, thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.